Hello. One of the things that I have to change is I have the playing board with the tiles, culture tiles, and the corridor tiles in between. But what I need is a system, a grid that makes it possible in code to connect all the tiles between themselves. And the way it is now, I have the culture tiles are the circles. Those need to be able to connect to another circle with a road in between them so that you can create a network of your culture. And the way it is now, it's just I just create a board which takes those shapes and puts them on the board like so. For the moment, there's no inherent grid structure that I can use for functionality. There, as far as I know, man, because remember, I'm pretty much a total noob in coding. But as far as I understand, any of these shapes could easily be used as a form that has a connection to the bordering tiles without needing a mathematical grid. Most games use the most simple form of a grid is a grid of squares. Then you have transformed squares, you have triangles, you have hexagons. And mine, in fact, is hexagons with circles overlaid on the corners of of 3 of the 6 corners of a hexagon. So it wouldn't be hard to make them connect because they border each other. But what I need is two circles that are not connected. They can have a connection between them with a road. So, and a road that's really just a connection between two circles, and not that I could have a pretty easy functionality that the in-between space, the corridor space, if you would build a road in it, it would connect all three circles. But that's not what I want. I want specifically one road connects the other circle and not the third up here. So I have my class that creates the board, which uses board shapes and board elements to put together the board. And that's this piece of code creates the board. And what is the second piece? That is... Ah, yeah, the second piece is for putting my temporary buildings on there. Just placeholders, like so. If I click on there, it's not only the code over there, but there's more code with the shapes and everything. Now, when I click on it, there's like possible positions with the little squares are the current unit outline, building outline. It's what my code does at the moment. At least it does something, you know. So I decided to put the board class and the grid class into ChatGPT and try and ask it, because I already have the code. What I need for... Oh, I closed it. Yeah, I know there are errors. What I need for my code to do, and I already have a hexagonal grid without the shape, because these shapes, the our original hexagons. In fact, I use a code. I can show it. It's in board shapes. I have a base hexagon that's defined with points, and then it draws lines, so it makes a hexagon. And these are like mathematical functions. And you can see that it the side, the short leg, etc. Those are just mathematical calculations that with the use of triangles, etc. That defines the hexagons. And then I use these base hexagons here. I use them to create those corridors, the tiles in between the circles. And in fact, I just take the hexagon and I take out the three circles on every point where it is. And so I can really create, here it is, minus the hexagon shape minus 3 circles is a corridor tile, and it just is the hexagon, and I subtract the circle shape. So that's actually what I put on, what I use to put on the board to construct the board. And then here I already have a shape grid. I did a lot of experimenting, tried a lot of things, different grids, because conceptual, I have a hard time finding a conceptual grid that supports the functionality that I want to get. And here I already have I have some grids, and here I have a hexagon grid, which in fact is the same grid as the base grid that I used to create the corridor tiles. And I had a square grid. I commented that out. I did some other things over there. So I think maybe I even need to put in the board shape. I will put in the board shapes as well. Let's see. Well, I can just post it one after the other. Doesn't matter for ChatGPT as far as I know. So that's the board shape, and then grid extends. Board elements. Do I know it? Yeah, I'll just post 4 classes in that. Board elements is derived, is used in up. There you go. Need that. And I will post the grid, which extends the board elements. Otherwise, it's going to tell me that it misses the code that is referenced. And then finally, I will post the board. I never posted so much code, so let's see what it does. Right, and then let's see if I can format looking at the code posted above. How to format my question. Well, could I rewrite this code to use the hexagon grid as base grid and paste the corridor tile on each lower right vertex, and not the corridor tile, the culture tile, and the corridor tiles, plural, maybe both, on the grid face. See what it does. Ah, the message was too long. Okay. Let's try it a different way. Yes, and yes, I get it. It's good. Can I have my... Yeah, good. What would your new answer be? I don't know. How do I get a new... Imagine it was too long, but I don't want a regenerate response. I just want my... Oh, here, plus new chat. Okay. Yeah, see how pro I am. I'm very pro. Let's see. Okay. A few pieces of code and ask a question afterwards. Okay. Theoretically, you should be able to prime the chat for such a thing. Just tell them that you're gonna go ahead and post, because otherwise it will be too long. Okay. Yeah. No. Stop. I don't want a response. That doesn't work. See if this works. No need to respond before I ask my question. See if it works. Okay, that's fun. Meantime, experimenting. I did a little bit of experimenting with ChatGPT, but nothing very complex. So, okay, where was I? Boards. I have the grid. Does it need maybe it doesn't even need it. I can try it with the boards and the grid. I can almost on the board elements. Not sure if it needs it. Because I'm a total noob, I don't know what it needs to make some. I will put in the board shapes. Fun and giggles. It doesn't wait, huh? Stop. Yeah, it just starts analyzing. I did my first video on that. When you just post code without any instructions, it just starts analyzing what it does. It's very useful if you want to, if you don't exactly remember what your code does, or if you have copied some code from elsewhere and you want to know exactly what it does, it gives like a basic rundown, and you can ask for details, and so it actually helps you understand all the code. And because my code is like 5, 6, 7 years old, sometimes I don't know exactly what it is. I have a global idea what it does when I see the code, but I'm like nowhere near. I just have a global idea. I mean, it can be very useful to explain or certain what is it called, methods, or yeah, little things in your code that you don't get, and you can ask to change things and etc. It's very useful for like the basics. And some things I ask conceptual, it isn't too bad either. I'm losing my thing. Board, I posted. Board shapes, I posted. Maybe board elements, not sure. Let me see. Position, yeah, I'll probably put that into, I don't know. See what it is. And then, up, take this, my friend. Yeah, stop. I don't need your input right now. And then, last but not least, the grid class. Right. Okay, stop generating. Looking at the above 4 pieces of code. Yeah, no, looking at is good. At the above pieces, because it is capable to read back everything that you posted before. That's also with the conversations on the left. You can, yeah, you can talk about things that you already posted. It doesn't retain personal info, etc. It's like a security, but you can talk about what you posted before, etc. It can look it up. Apparently, it's saved somewhere, which I imagine takes huge amount of server room or something, or maybe it's saved locally. I'm not sure how they do it. Pieces of code. Can you help me to rewrite this code as follows? Let's start a new sentence. I want to use the hexagonal grid thingy around it as the base grid, and insert a corridor tile on each lower right. See if I understands that, because I posted the math that draws the hexagon, but because it's a language model, probably insert what means lower right means in this case. On each lower right vertex, it's called. No, same mistake as before. That's the culture tile. Insert a culture tile on each lower right vertex, and a corridor tile on the center of each face. Hexagon face. Each lower right hexagon. It's not the right. It's not hexagon. Hexagon. I think. Is it thinking in French here? Lower. I'm in English, bro. What are you telling me? Hexagon face. Instead of the current grid array. Plural? Not sure. Let me see. Board. Board height. What is it? Yeah, I actually have two grids, two arrays, one of culture tiles and one of corridor tiles, and I just give it the position so it looks like it's a coherent what's the word, a coherent thing, but in fact it's just you can see that here, it's just two arrays, one of culture tiles and one of corridor tiles visually put together. And here I already have an array for the grid, and that array should replace the other one, and I need to place the tiles on top who are functional as well as just visual. But so instead of the current grid arrays of, what is it called again? See that corridor tiles and culture tiles simply. I like clear naming. Current grid arrays of culture tiles and corridor tiles. Okay, see what it does. Probably have to refine the question or something. But now it has to read all the code, which is pretty fast. Shape util, yes. Hexagonal grid, yes. New face, no. Protected error list, face list. Oh, I have that. You saw it somewhere. I love ChatGPT, it's so funny. It even has these little colors, isn't it great? Error list face neighbors, yeah. And that's in my code already somewhere, neighbors face. Face F neighbors. What is it doing? It's so in my code. The board shape class, which contains the shapes of culture tiles. Yes, I have the board shape class, which contains the shapes. So make sure to define the double W and H variables in the hexagonal grid class. Okay. Does it actually tell me anything new? As south, as east, as west. A for loop. Yes. Yeah, of course. Why does it? I want a grid of hexagon. A trigonal grid. Why does it use face here? It makes an array list, an array of faces. Why the heck would it do that? Well, whatever. Hexagonal grid. Public class culture extends hexagonal grid. Oh yeah. That's of course something I should do. I should make the hexagonal grid the first, and make the culture and the corridor tiles subclasses of the hexagonal grid because I need the hexagonal grid as a superclass to have all the functionality be inherited by the corridor or culture tiles, of course. Public shape, board shape. Okay, so yeah, that's some logical step I might have missed. Right now, I have board shapes, yeah, there, of course, the rectangle is, the hexagon is defined, that's not a problem. That's another question. Yeah, I'm going in all directions at the same time when I'm working on this all the time, and this is no exception. When I look at the shape, something I need to do is change all those things into the word escapes me, into vector graphics. Now my stuff is defined in pixels. In fact, I have like radius 40, the sides 140 minus radius, etc. That's the math, but the numbers are actually pixels. They're just counted pixels. So I need to change, and the starting point is also, when I learned all that, it has to do with how the board starts to draw, and it starts in the upper left corner, the draw function. So I just took I think, if I remember correctly, that is, and I just have like a distance from the corner, but that should be relative to something else, and it should be vector graphics so that you can zoom in and out, etc. If it's in pixels, like a website, it won't work. So it needs to be scalable. But anyway, going in all directions in the same time as usual. Here is so my grid, my hexagonal grid shape. So that's okay. Then board elements. Let me see. I know it's just a class. What is it? Suddenly asking myself why this is not just in board. Doesn't extend board. I have load image here. Rectangle shapes. Grid position. The W and the H are defined. The load image function method, the draw method, fill shape, textures, highlight function. Yeah. It's all kinds of functionality for the board. The point is highlighted. Add pieces. Yeah, there's some functionality in there. Why was I here? Yeah, I was looking where this would come in place. So now I have tiles. Oh yeah, right. It extends board elements. So below tiles is the superclass for culture and corridor tiles. See, it extend culture tile extends tile, and tile extends board element. So I should create a class between board elements. I can maybe put it inside board elements, I'm not sure, but I can always merge or separate classes later. I tend to make many separate classes, and if there's a logic to extend another class, etc., and I can always put them back together later on, merge them, I want to say. So now I should create a grid class, which I already have. What did it say? My little digital friend. Back here. Yes. Yeah, my grid. I already have it. So my grid class. What is it? Yes, I already have it. Apparently, I'm not sure if it read all my code or is it just the last code. What I posted board element the last. Not sure if it read. What is it called? Classes? Yeah. I asked it, did you read all for classes that I posted your answer? Question mark. Okay, he did. What was I saying? All this stuff is so hard on my head. My brain is the last, I don't know how many years of my life, I hardly trained my brain. It shows. It gets overheated. I need to have a cooling, like on my computer, I think. Water cooling on my head. That's really brain gymnastics, all this thing. Even to stay focused on what I'm trying to do. And so there's all kinds of methods that are being overridden because it comes from extends hexagonal grid. Yeah, that's the grid. So yeah, the board shape, blah blah blah. I don't know why it's doing with the faces. I don't want a face. I just want the fucking entire hexagon. Because a face is just like a term that I learned. You have a vertex that's like if you have a square grid, just squares. The vertex is where is on all the corners where it meets the other squares. The edge is just the line between vertexes, and the face is like the surface of the shape. But in my functionality later on, I need the vertices as well as the faces and maybe even the edges because of neighbors. And here it starts to do something with the faces, makes an array of faces, and then it starts to talk about neighbors already. And why is it doing that? Here it creates face neighbors. It creates an array of faces, and then it fills it with neighbors for some reason. Am I saying that correct? What is it doing with the face? Face F is face way. It already creates neighbors. It's stuff I definitely need. Yeah, W plus -1 +1 height minus, and it's yeah, right. It's so simple. This is I need, of course, the connection, the code for the connections, but here it's telling me yeah already. Let me use the neighbor, but I ask it to fill the grid with the culture tiles on there. Doesn't seem like it has done that. Override. Public shape. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's logical. Did it now? Protected area list, face list. New face, super. Yeah, the shape, reshape. So that would be in the text is gray. Yeah, I know this is. It's just using my old code. Yeah. Colon is draw outline. True. Yeah. Public accent, good position. Okay. So yeah, this gets really boring trying to wrap my brain around what's happening here. Basically, I already have that. You need to implement a board shape class. Yes. Board shape class, yes. So make sure that even the WH and hexagonal grid keys. Yeah, because they're now in, I saw them in board elements. No, that's okay. That's okay. But in the board, I need this stuff instead of show me how to first generate a board array filled with the hexagon grid and then how to put a filter tile on one hexagon vertex and a corridor tile on each face. Hexagon. Oh, hexagon. No, it doesn't exist. See if it gives another answer because it's like it didn't do what I asked. which I can imagine with all that shit, all the stuff I posted. On one vertex of each vertical, yeah, at least it responds to my question. It returns my question like I asked it. Hexagon grid, yeah, of course. That's now just called grid. Array-list hexagon. Yes, pretty good. That's the constructor. It's good for me to that I'm recording this, so I have to train myself in using the correct terms for all the pieces of code as far as I know them, because I said I'm a total noob. No, not a total noob, but a pretty big noob. I just make a play styles class here. Nice, nice, nice. Or yes, of course. That's nice. This is just an example. I may not be the complete solution for your problem. You may need to adjust the code to fit your specific requirements. Probably, but I love what it's giving. It's if it isn't for anything else, but it's pretty accurate. It's a great way of helping you think better about the problem. I was discussing like a programming thing and gives, yeah, of course it works like that. Oftentimes it's super simple. And like I said, I don't have all the methods in my head how things should be done. So it's a huge help for me to say, all right, I can do it that way, that way. A lot of things, of course, I recognize now. And even I was discussing some other things with it a while back. Some things about what was it, financial system. I was talking about an idea for an information weighting system, and that's very like current about disinformation, all that kind of shit. Like, how can you make a system that uses opinion ratings like social media use now, etc., etc. But the thing doesn't give you like new insights or new original answers. It's a little bit based on based on common knowledge, or what is it called, public opinion, etc. But it is a really great way to help you formulate your own thoughts. In fact, so that's pretty. And like with the coding, it's like talking to another person, and a lot of time in explaining an idea, you get to formulate your own thoughts better. And if it isn't anything else, ChatGPT or technology is a great help with that. You can, and you get a return. It's like, I mean, don't ask it for opinions, but ask it for like how you could realize a thing, create a thing, how you would go about creating a thing. Yeah, it has some pretty like practical information. Works great, and you can because you have to formulate questions. It helps you think better. That's really funny. So yeah, it's very helpful with that, and it's fun. But it's like a neutral listener, which you have feedback. It's funny. Right, so the code. It uses my booleans that I use for early hexagon neighbors. Boolean has culture town, data. It seems like it's doing things that I didn't really ask, but it might be just because all that stuff is in my code, and it's again doing the find neighbor thingy, but I didn't ask it to anything about neighbors. Why is he doing that? What am I missing? Why am I stupid? It just has to repeatedly create the hexagon grid and put the corridor tile on there. It's center, yeah. Did it give me the code to find the center? That would be fun, because I don't remember. Culture tile CT. What is CT? Does he get CT from my friend? CT, but the F is CT. Oh, culture tile CT, huh? If each point has culture tile. Oh, I don't even remember what SS means. What does compared to 1? 2 equal signs, I don't even. True if both values are equal and false if they are not. Right, of course. That's a comparison, and the other one is an assignment operator. Right. If has corridor tile is false. Oh yeah, this was the condition. Stuff is coming back. Hurts my brain. So if it is false, if it doesn't have a corridor tile, then we make it true, because we put in a new corridor tile and say the grid position is H. Corridor tiles print at CT. What is it? Yes. Is H, and then oh, it's so condensed it hurts my brain. Like I said, even the basic Java or whatever basic programming thing is that these kinds of things hurt my brain. This is still okay, sort of. Hexagon IHH says culture blah blah. It calls the array H. It's an array of hexagons, and then if that doesn't has if it iterates the H. If it doesn't have maybe it's because I ask because it's talking neighbors, probably because I asked to put it on the lower right vertex or something. Anyway, I was saying so it for every hexagon H, it's looking if it has a culture tile. If it's not, it's gonna put it through and put in a new culture tile on that create a new culture tile object on that hexagon. You could CT, and it says its get position is H. Add CT tiles. And it's a function in culture tiles. And it does the same with the corridor tile. Add. Yeah, right. I have to see about that. So I have to use this kind of code, the neighbors. Whatever with your neighbors. Where did he find the neighbors? I have some stuff in grid about neighbors. Yeah, neighbors. Yeah, it's using that neighbor thingy. This piece of code I have to rewrite that it first generates the hexagon grid, and then it has to put on the tiles, and it has to use the random function as well. So I probably have to use this method. I don't want to write this, of course, in every yeah. So instead of what it is saying here, the simple thingy that it wrote to put in the culture or the corridor tiles, I should replace it with the piece where it assigns a random tile. That's okay. And what is this? Corridor tiles and culture tiles. Does it say something about it over there? No, it should probably in my code somewhere, but I don't. Do I have it? Culture tiles. All right, yeah. Yeah. Because I have an array of corridor tiles and array of culture tiles. Only the only thing I use, yeah. But I don't need those. Oh, I need, yeah, because I have that because, but now just every hexagon that makes up the grid gets one culture tile and one corridor tile. And if I repeat that, it will get this shape. And this would be the hexagon and not cut out. Now maybe I can redo this, activate, or at least drawing the grid and put to show you, but imagine this is the invisible hexagon there behind this. Then I add one of these corridor tiles, and on this corner, on this vertex, I add one culture tile, and then I just repeat that endlessly. Well, endlessly, except the last one. So I have to do a -1 in there. The last one won't get this, won't get a culture tile because I want for now at least, I want the corridors to be the exterior. So the last one doesn't get a culture tile. And the same when we go down. Normally in these holes there would be again the culture tiles, but I don't put them here because I want this to end in the corridors, because I want the culture tiles to be entirely enclosed by the nature tiles, the corridors. So, but that's just a matter of telling it to stop, to give a stop for the last hexagon, grid hexagon, to not put in a culture tile. That's all. But every one of them has a corridor on its face. So right, it's something I have to figure out. I'm not going to record all of that, I think, because that will be a huge mess, I think. I have to do coup. Sometimes I put in some French expressions. Excuse me for that. No, don't excuse me. Du coup means something like so. Yeah. So yeah, I most of this code I already have in place. I just have to replace. Funny, it's talking about my name. That's exactly the same code that I had in my neighbors. That's in grid. Because there I have to get all this function. Oh yeah, it's the same code. I already created that. Sometimes I amaze myself how smart I am. Oh, I swear I had all kinds of code that I had all kinds of code in here that I didn't remember I wrote already. So sometimes like, all right, I already tried something of that. But now it's important, to get a schedule to work on the different parts in a structured way, part by part, so that I get a result, that I get somewhere. And I was going all kinds of things, units, placement, etc. But yeah, then the thing that I came back to before also every time, the basic grid has to be workable. So I was like, yeah, I can start with the units or the buildings or the interface to get what units are available, etc. I have to draw the units and buildings. I have to draw all those things. Yeah, just at least a placeholder, like I did for the board. I just created it. I think I even in Paint with my mouse. So those are my mouse drawing skills that you see on there. So I have, before I can do like get a tile and place units or buildings on there, and at least have the possibility that by clicking I can add this or that. And then because you have a tree, like you put one building, you create a village, you can upgrade it but only one choice, and then you can upgrade it again with only one choice. But yeah, to have something to see I need more than just I need some little graphics more than just these squares that I created now. Everything that I think I might start there and set there. Yeah, I have many basic things to do. When I start thinking about units, I was thinking maybe I just place the first unit and I make it be able to move, but for that I need a coherent grid. So I was like, I'll start with the grid again and make that a workable grid where I can have the relationships between the different tiles work. So, except when I'm missing some important functionality again, I think the basic hexagonal grid does the job. I can create a relationship between the different vertices where the culture tiles are located. I can use the face as I want, different zones on the corridor tile because you can place your you can place your guy not on the water tile for now, but you can place your guy to build a road in between those two rounds one, and then you can't go to the other after you build your road. With a guy that can build roads, you cannot go to the from there to the other ones. And then you have hunters, they can go to the center of the tile and move like that to another one, which soldiers and workers cannot. Yeah, I must see. The relationship between those two round ones would work with the hexagonal, and but the placement I still have to see if that's possible, especially when it's here, that it can't move to the other ones, etc. But probably I can do that with this line, or even with the outer with the other vertex. Yeah, but then no, I'm not sure, because then I should, well, at least I could connect those vertices. I'm pretty sure. No idea how to do that yet, but they can have a relationship, those two. And probably I can move the guy. It has to be on the corridor. Yeah, it will be complicated. Why didn't I have a simple board? But well, my board design is part of the fun. It's part of it's like the basic idea of the one of the big basic ideas of this little game. So, but it's a challenge. It's maybe I'm making it way too complicated, but it seems to be like it's not standard the way things are done. So good excuse to rack my brain. So right, I will maybe I record when I start to change this whole piece of code here, or I'll go what's the word in English? Or I can fiddle around with it, and then I'll show the results, or maybe I'm not sure yet. We'll see. So bye for now, and see you some other time.